Other government interventions, which I'll just go through quite quickly. We've got state provision of public goods. Obviously, I talked about public goods like streetlights. They're very difficult to get the market to actually produce them because of their non-excludable and non-rivalrous nature. Alternatively, you could think of it as externalities on steroids. So the amount of subsidy that you would have to give people to actually buy it themselves would be completely through the roof. So you may as well do it. You may as well get government to produce it itself, is the idea. That's one thing. So because it's very difficult to create markets for public goods, governments tend to do that. Things like streetlights, things like defense as well, right? Like it's difficult to create a huge defense community that doesn't have people defecting and trying to free ride. So instead, government runs defense for people. Then we also have the state providing information to close information gaps. Talked about information gaps. People overvaluing or undervaluing certain goods. Governments can come out and do campaigns and tell people, no, smoking is bad, drinking is bad, exercise is good. For example, obviously this can go wrong because governments get things wrong. So for example, governments came along and told people, eat loads of carbs, cut down on the fat, and now we have huge obesity problems. And there seems to be a link there. So the idea is that hopefully government gets it right most of the time, and so therefore the provision of information most of the time is a net positive. That's the hope anyway. And then the other thing is that government can do regulation. So it can say, hey, don't pollute too much. This good has to meet this XYZ quality and health and safety standards, etc. So they can try and put in regulations to ensure that things are done in a good way, even if information gaps or externalities mean that things wouldn't have been done perfectly good otherwise. And that's the other collection of government interventions that they can do. So just to kind of recap as a list, last video I talked about like pollution permits, which can be tradable, and I don't know if that's how you spell tradable. And then today I was saying, hey, we could have regulation, we could have information provision, and we could have government provision of public or government provider. And this is also the theory behind the government provision of public goods is also the theory behind a lot of state industries. So there's also that. Not all state industries though. Many of them, it's the case of arguing that it's a natural monopoly, which will be discussed in a later theme.